Greetings again and welcome back to the Story of Man Vibe. My name is Andre O. Ferguson. It's a blessing to be here. Thank you so much for today. I saw you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be right here with me right now. And if I wanna watch this, we give thanks because at least one person is taking an interest in making sure that they can find the tools and have the tools to make their relationship exactly what they want it to be. 1, 2, and to make their relationship better. 3, to recognize that making a relationship better is a daily recommitment. So give many thanks and thank you so much for being here. But now I'm going to waste no time. I'm going to jump right into the subject. What kind of spouse are you? This subject is for all of us as spouses and for all of us aspiring to be spouses, to find somebody to love you, somebody to love, somebody to take care of, somebody for you to take care of. And that's an important and an imperative, that's an important responsibility. Taking care of somebody's heart is no joke. If you're married, marriage is bigger than your feelings, brethren and sisters. Much bigger than your feelings. Make it not about your feelings, but about the covenant that marriage is. Without further ado, make we talk about what is going on. So what kind of spouse are you? Are you a passive spouse? What is a passive spouse? A passive spouse is somebody who misses opportunities because they're afraid of making the wrong decision. Somebody who just sits and waits for somebody else to make the decision. Or they may not necessarily be waiting for somebody else to make the decision, but they're just dragging their feet on making the decision, or doing what is right, or coming up to solve the conversation, or if there's a problem, initiating, solving having that conversation to make sure that the conversation is happening, and that they're moving towards a solution. So are you a passive spouse? Why is it dangerous to be a passive spouse? For the reasons I just explained. If you are dragging your feet towards finding a solution or initiating a conversation towards finding a solution, if you are just busy sitting and not doing much, then opportunities might pass you. If you are not busy trying to make sure that you're maximizing your relationship on a daily basis, then your spouse might get disconcerted with the fact that you generally don't do much, or you generally take a long time to do anything. And that is a problem. So are you a passive spouse? Number 2, are you a manipulative spouse? We know enough man out there and woman out there manipulate their spouses, right? Manipulation can come in the form of this, and this is a very, very subtle way to manipulate somebody. You apologize. I did something wrong, I apologize, but I changed nothing. Or I say things like, I understand, but I don't apologize. I understand so that I try to appease you without actually taking full responsibility for my action. An apology without changing of action is manipulation, right? So are you a manipulative spouse? And I'm sure most of you know what manipulation is on a deeper level, right? You try and convince somebody to come around to your way of thinking, or you color somebody's character. You manipulate your family against your husband or against your wife. You tell them all the negatives, but you don't tell them the positives. You paint a picture that you are the victim all the time without actually telling the full story. You try to get other people or control other people's idea of your spouse so that you look good and they look bad. You control your spouse's way of thinking, or you try to control your spouse's way of thinking. You cry all the time. You shout all the time. You're aggressive all the time. You make things about you all the time. So you manipulate the situation to suggest that you are the victim, or you are the one that needs all this help, but their feelings aren't important. So are you a manipulative spouse? And if you are, please, not do that something there. It's not good. Are you a selfish spouse? Is it all about you, your feelings, your needs, your wants, your desires? Is it all about you? Is it all about the fact that I want rice and peas tonight, but you want couscous? And we have to eat rice and peas, because if we don't eat rice and peas, then I'm going to be upset. I want to go to Miami, but you want to go to Timbuktu, Egypt. And I create an argument and a whole thing around it because I need to go to where I need to go, but your needs are not important. Are you the type of person that puts yourself first all the time? Just a side note here, in a relationship, your job is to take care of the other person, not yourself. And if you are trying hard to make sure you get what you need out of the relationship, and you're not giving so that that person can feel safe in your relationship, you need to go back to school and learn how to love somebody. Because loving somebody is not about you. Loving somebody is about that person. So you need to take the time to find out the needs of that person and give that to that person. And I know many of you will say, well, that she's not doing this or he's not doing that and he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that and why da 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 da. Okay, so if that's your mentality towards relationship, then I suggest you take the time to really understand yourself, really understand a relationship and what it requires before you get into one. Because it's unfair on both of you, for neither of you to really know how to function within a relationship. If you commit to loving somebody, if you're married, if you commit to marriage, if you're just boyfriend and girlfriend or partners and you just commit to that, then you have to understand what that commitment means. That commitment is me saying to you that I will take care of you, your needs. You're doing exactly the same for me. If me do my job and you do your job, the job is done. But if I'm just doing my job and you're not doing your job, the business ain't gonna work, right? To have a successful relationship, everybody needs to play their part. If you have 11 players on a football field and we're only defending, we're not gonna score no goal. If we're only trying to score goals, we're gonna leave ourselves open to attack. And that is what happens in relationships most of the time. Because most of us, within relationships, we don't play our role, or we don't know what our role is. So if you're in a relationship and you're only thinking what you need, what you want, what you don't need for then in a relationship. You're not ready yet. No disrespect, respectfully, you're not ready yet. So I suggest you take yourself out of that situation, find out, learn what a relationship is about, understand yourself and your needs, because you will need to present those needs to the person that you want to love you. And learn how to be selfless, because a relationship is selflessness. The definition of love is to understand the other person. Love is an action word. It's not a feeling. It's not an emotion. It's not something you feel. And because I feel this way today, I'm not going to do this for you. Because I'm upset with you right now, I'm not going to make sure that you're okay. That now have nothing to do with love. Love is selfless. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is long-suffering. Love holds no account of wrongs. If you're in your relationship and you're talking about things that happened last week, last year, 5 years ago, 12 years ago, then you haven't forgiven the person that you're in a relationship with. You haven't overcome or you haven't gotten over that situation. And you both need to deal with that before you suggest that you're moving forward. Because love holds no account of wrong. It's a daily recommitment. So today, I love my wife today for who she is right now. And based on everything I've learned in the past and everything we've overcome, communication is key, as you've heard me say here before. So, are you a selfish spouse? 4, are you an aggressive spouse? What is aggression? A lot of times when people hear aggression, they look at us, the big man. Yes, we may raise our voice and we may point our fingers and gesticulate. Oh, some of the without being too derogatory, some of the other brothers may put their hands on you physically. Aggression. Now, are you an aggressive spouse? And is your aggression a benefit to your relationship or a hindrance to your relationship? Aggression is in no wise acceptable, ever. There's no reason for you to be aggressive to somebody you love because it doesn't correlate. Aggression and love don't go together. They do not mix. Island water. So you need to make sure you ain't no aggressive spouse. And you need to look into yourself. And if you are an aggressive spouse, it doesn't mean you're the devil's child. It just means you need to take some time to deal with that aggression. Why are you aggressive? Why are you aggressive to somebody you say you love? Look at things that you may not have dealt with or you may not recognize, because aggression comes from somewhere. It's generally your inability to deal with all of your emotions. And a lot of us as men, we have two: happiness and anger. And everything in between that, we don't have a clue how to deal with because nobody taught us how to deal with it. And a lot of the times we run away from those feelings because we don't really like how it feels. It feels too uncomfortable. We're not in control. But people point fingers at men when they hear the word aggression. Let me give you a story. There's many women out here who are bullying men. Many women out here are pushing men up against the wall. Many women out here who are jumping on cars. Many women out here who are slashing car tires. Many women out here who are taking away the phone, taking away the car key. Many women out here who are being verbally and emotionally aggressive and abusive. Many women out here doing exactly the same things. We don't hear about that because, there's an imbalance in society. But we're not here to bash anybody. All I'm saying is aggression is not a part of love. They don't go together. Aggression has no place in your relationship. So whether you're an aggressive spouse, a passive spouse, a selfish spouse, or whatever, none of these things correlate with love. So if you are an aggressive spouse and you know you have aggressive tendencies, then that's something you need to work on, something you need to get outside of your relationship, or if your spouse is happy to help you with that, and deal with. Because you don't hurt the people you love. Love has nothing to do with hurting physically or aggressively hurting the people you love. They don't get it twisted. We hurt each other all the time. But it should never be intentional. I should never aggressively try to hurt you. Do I say things sometimes that rub up my wife the wrong way and hurt her feelings? 100%. My job, as soon as I recognize that, is to apologize and to find out what it is exactly I said that hurt her feelings, and to make sure I work now on eradicating that thing from my vocabulary and from my attitude. So are you an aggressive spouse? And if you are an aggressive spouse, I beg you stop that something there. Boom. Last one. Are you a secure spouse? How many of us in relationships are insecure? We come into relationships with insecurities, with baggage. A lot of us. I know I did. I didn't trust women at all. None at all. No woman me not trust. It doesn't matter how good you are, how whatever. Me not care. I just did not trust women because I had experiences. And my experiences dictated how I saw women. And I saw all I know the same way. All I know the same. That's how I saw it. Until I saw it differently. And there's many people like me, many men like me, many women who don't trust men because of their experiences. But there's also many people like that in relationships who are insecure in their relationships. Insecure, and their insecurity have actually nothing to do with their spouse. It has everything to do with their history of spousal abuse, spousal neglect, spousal selfishness, all of these things that may have happened to them in the past that they've not dealt with or haven't had the opportunity or are afraid to deal with, but they're also very afraid to be alone. So instead of dealing with their problems, they come into your relationship with all of this baggage, unbeknownst to you, and they sit there with their insecurities, and then they project all of this onto you. So every time you do something that looks slightly like something they don't like, all of a sudden now you're a fault. And then they come up with scenarios in their heads and theories, irrational thinking, and then they bring it to you as a problem you created. Insecurities, irrational thinking causes problems in relationships. So are you a secure spouse? And if you're not secure, why are you not secure in your relationship? What does security in your relationship mean? Security means trust. Security means responsibility. It means accountability. Security means you are doing your part. Security means you're at peace with the fact that you know your missus is going to do what she says she's going to do. You're also secure with the fact that you know she not gonna do nothing with you. Or he ain't go. You're not sitting there worried about whether or not he's with a different woman. You're insecure. And insecurities murder relationships. So if you are insecure, stop today and figure out how to get more secure. How can you build more trust? How can you build more responsibility? How can you be more accountable? How can you be more transparent in your relationship so that you become more secure and your spouse is also more secure? I hit that from me today, 5 of them. So, and the simple question, let's recap. So, are you a passive spouse? Are you a manipulative spouse? Are you a selfish spouse? Are you an aggressive spouse? And are you a secure spouse? Whichever one you fall under, if you fall under any one of these categories, the negative ones, you need to fix it. If you're a secure spouse, also make sure that you're making your spouse as secure as you are. Until next time, enough love and enough respect. And remember, write your own story. And don't forget to share this with somebody that you think it might help. Blessed love.